Have you ever poured your heart and soul into a project, a truly brilliant idea, only to watch it completely fizzle out in a meeting? Well, today we're digging into a fantastic piece by Dr. Julius Kirimi Sindi that gets right to the heart of that frustration. Let's get into why our best ideas sometimes die in the boardroom. This quote, man, this just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that sinking feeling when you realize you are completely, fundamentally unprepared. You've come armed with data, logic, and beautiful charts, but the battle being fought, it's about something else entirely. We've all been there, right? You've done all the homework, the logic is absolutely airtight, your case is undeniable, and then crickets, the idea gets tabled, or you get that dreaded, let's circle back to this, which, is basically where good ideas go to die. It is an incredibly maddening experience, and it's exactly what we're going to unpack today. So to really get this, we're going to dive into a personal story from Dr. Sindi. It's about a time he created what he called the policy equivalent of the Mona Lisa. And by all technical measures, it was a true masterpiece. Seriously, look at this. This was not some half-baked idea. This was a 37-slide monument to pure logical genius. It had frameworks inside of frameworks, kind of like those Russian nesting dolls. It had multiple scenarios that were totally stress-tested. It even had a beautiful color-coded risk matrix. It was, for all intents and purposes, perfect. And here's the punchline. 6 months later, poof! That masterpiece was gone, buried forever in the great digital cemetery of forgotten emails and server folders. So what went wrong? It wasn't the analysis. It wasn't the logic. The problem was something they never teach you in school. Being right just isn't the same as being effective. In this whole story, it points to a much, much bigger problem. It's what Dr. Sindi calls the technical excellence trap. And it's a trap that so many of us fall right into, especially those of us who have been trained to believe that data and logic are king. Think about it. Our companies, our schools, they all teach us to worship at the altar of IQ. We celebrate technical brilliance, these elegant frameworks, hard data. But the real game? Oh, the real game is often played with a totally different currency. It's about power dynamics, hidden agendas, and those quiet little chats in the parking lot or over lukewarm tea that decide everything before the official meeting even starts. So the missing piece of this puzzle is something called political intelligence, or PQ. And listen, I know politics can sound like a dirty word, but it's not. It is probably the most crucial leadership skill there is. It's about reading the room, understanding what's not being said, and building the support you actually need to make a brilliant idea become a reality. I love this metaphor from the source. Your technical skill, your brilliance, that just gets you in the door. That's the cover charge you pay to even be in the game. But political intelligence? That's what gets you past the velvet rope and into the VIP section. You know where the real decisions are actually being made? So what is this invisible game, anyway? What are the rules that they just don't teach you in the official employee handbooks or those corporate training workshops? Well, let's look at a really solid example. Okay, let's make this real. Imagine you've created a groundbreaking new digital health proposal. It's technically flawless. But here's what's really happening under the surface. The ICT director? He thinks your idea is a threat to his pet project. The finance manager? Well, her cousin runs a competing company. The country rep has already promised a big donor something totally different. And a key specialist is annoyed because you didn't talk to him about it earlier. See? Your proposal isn't failing on its merits, it's getting tangled in this invisible web of personal interests and egos. And that feeling of realizing all this is happening, it feels exactly like this. You've been carefully and logically playing chess, move by move, while everyone else around you is playing some kind of complex three-dimensional game you've never even heard of. And nobody bothered to give you the new rule book. Okay, let's hit pause for a second because this is super important. This is not a call to become some kind of manipulative, backstabbing schemer. PQ isn't about playing dirty. It's about being a savvy navigator. It's about understanding that organizations are human ecosystems, not just flawless machines. Here's maybe the simplest way to think about it. Your IQ tells you what the right answer is. Your PQ tells you how to get that right answer adopted. It tells you who you need on your side, when the right moment to push is, and just as important, where the resistance is going to come from. And look, this stuff really works in the real world. This isn't just some abstract theory. Rwanda's amazing digital transformation didn't just happen because the tech was good. It happened because leaders knew how to align all the different interests of government and the private sector. Same thing with Kenya's big wins in climate finance. They succeeded because they built a story, a narrative, that spoke to everyone's different priorities. That right there is PQ in action. All right, so how do we actually start building this skill? How do you go from being that frustrated technocrat to becoming a savvy navigator? Well, let's look at a simple but really powerful tool that you can start using like tomorrow. So before you even think about opening PowerPoint for your next big idea, stop and ask yourself these 5 questions. First, who actually benefits from things staying the same? And who loses if this thing I'm proposing actually happens? Second, who are the real influencers here, not just the names on the org chart? Third, who do I need to bring into this early to make them a co-creator, not an opponent? Fourth, is now the right time for this, or do I need to wait? And finally, the big one. Is this the hill I'm willing to die on? Seriously, think of this as your pre-flight checklist for making a real impact. At the end of the day, it really all comes down to this. All of your hard work, your brilliant analysis, your amazing ideas, they deserve to see the light of day. They deserve to make a difference. Leadership isn't just an academic exercise in being correct. It's the very real, practical work of making what's right actually matter in the real world. So the next time you walk into that big meeting armed with your perfect proposal, the choice is yours. Are you just going to read your slides, or are you going to read the room? Thanks for tuning in.